Oh boy. Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna re-upload the Joe Rogan video and remove the skits. Because so many people,
See Apricot in the background? She keeps hopping.
Oh, little bunny.
Had to walk between them. She was like, that's a dog. Keeps hopping. Sorry, Cheryl. She probably puts a baby gate.
this title.
Is this rabbit?
Yeah, god damn it. Ugh, that's so annoying.
What's wrong?
Just the age restriction. Yeah, that affects a lot. Fuck.
What do you mean?
So now people have to sign in to see the ad at the beginning, and fewer people are gonna end up seeing it, so I'm gonna have to re-upload it with that ad. That is such fucking horse shit. Honestly, everyone's too much of a fucking pussy.
And it's also like they can just decide on their own opinion.
I know, like, oh my god, it's a blurred out penis. Oh my god.
This dick, how dare you?
And like, you can see on the fucking thumbnail, man. Yes, I did see the H3 video. And B-Back, what's going on? Max, what's up? I'm just really pissed this morning because my Joe Rogan video got age restricted. And I'm gonna re-upload it. Family-friendly version without the fucking penis jokes that triggered people. It's plant-based diet in the first place. So how to eat a terrible... Not what we're going to talk about today. Today I wanted to talk about diet, high in saturated and a little fitness inventing.
Saturday.
Argument that moral outrage no different
Crazy anti.
Like, does that really merit getting age restricted? This pixelated fucking thing here?
Oh, you said dick a lot. I think it does more than what it
Who
does.
cares, dick? It's a fucking word.
Yeah.
Jacked up. What's going on? Yeah, it's pretty hilarious. I didn't think I'd score in, like, the 0th percentile for agreeableness. I believe age restricted is 18 plus. I'm pretty sure it is. Don't think it's 16.
Yeah, it's 18.
Which is insane. Like, honestly, you have to be 18 or older to hear the word dick and see a pixelated penis? Holy shit. Like, how many fucking 14-year-olds are watching porn on a daily basis? Like, even if you don't have access to a computer, like, every 14-year-old has a phone now. You don't think 14-year-olds are looking up, like, fucking porn on their cell phone? It's just ridiculous. It's, total... It's just absolute retardation. Like, there's been a cultural shift, and, you know, technology and regulatory bodies, well, I guess technology created the cultural shift, but, you know, regulatory organizations, they haven't caught up with it. I also bought, a lottery ticket and hopefully I win the $60 million. If I win $60 million, I'm going to invest 100% of it into Bitcoin, and then I'm going to be a billionaire. Will you ever make an apartment tour? That would be cool. I already did. I'm pretty sure if you search on my channel, apartment tour. Why is there two of those open? What I ate today, apartment tour. Yeah, so, like, we got different desks and shit since then, but, you know. Moving to new apartment, that might be a better one. That's, like, our whole flight and everything. And then I show off, like, the entire space. This is when, we just moved in, and, well, look at Jasmine's hair. Oh. So much different. And, yeah, I'd say check out that video if you want to see the full apartment. I watched porn at 11 years old. Dude, I fucking was reading Playboy magazines when I was like 5 or 6. I don't know if that affected me in any way. Like, I do have an insanely high sex drive, and I started masturbating at a really young age, but I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think it's just I was insanely horny as a kid. I ate a lot of dairy when I was a kid because my parents thought, like, oh, if you drink milk, you'll grow big and strong, that whole fucking idea. And I, like, sexually matured at way too young of an age. I think I was, like, 5 or 6 when I was starting to get erections and masturbating, so yeah, I think, like, that caused it, not just looking at Playboy magazines.
Can you see apricot in the back? I don't think so.
Baked Potato, hey bro, what's up? Not much, I'm just going to have to re-upload this video because it got age restricted, and we're going to talk about net neutrality. I wanted to respond to this retardation, then respond to stupid ass fucking Ben Shapiro.
Richard,
What?
apricot's just fucking roaming around.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
The rabbit. Is your place super cluttered now with all the animals? Yeah. It's less cluttered. We had 4 rabbits, and they all needed their own individual pen because Apricot and Isaac, they don't get along right now. They have to be bonded. Rabbits are super territorial. And Lemon and Melon, they were brothers, but because of their hormones, they were getting really aggressive, like especially Melon. He was biting Lemon, and they got neutered, and it takes about 6 weeks for the hormones to get out of their system, so, you know, during that time, like, we still had to keep them separated, so it was kind of really fucking cluttered, but we're only temporarily fostering Melon and Lemon until they could, find, like, permanent, foster home. So now, 2 rabbits, less clutter. I think we should probably get rid of some junk, but yeah, I mean, it's yeah, it's not that bad now. We do need to get rid of the dog crate behind me, but I think once that's gone, it'll be a lot better. Great vid on Joe Rogan. Thank you, Mike. Like, yeah, that really frustrates me that my Joe Rogan video got age restricted, but I'll just re-upload it, and then that version won't be age restricted, and then I can monetize it and whatnot. Veg animation, what's going on? What do you think of the morality of neutering dogs? Well, you know what, it's an overall good.
Especially for females, because they can get in fake heat, like fake pregnancy, and they'll start lactating and get like inflamed nipples and stuff, and it's really painful for them.
Yeah.
They get really depressed from it. My sister's dog, we waited for neutering her for 2 years, and she was basically depressed for 2 years because she had it so bad.
Yeah, so especially like you're not, most people, they're not gonna want to breed their dog. And if you don't breed your dog, they can develop weird hormonal issues like that. It even happens with male dogs. If male dogs don't have sex with females, it does increase their risk of certain types of cancer. So in terms of health, it can actually help them. Sometimes it can improve their overall quality of life. Some dogs, like some male dogs, they're just hyper aggressive and they can't get along with other dogs at a dog park because they're just so territorial. But then once they're neutered, they calm down and then they can play with other dogs. So, like, there's a lot of benefits to it.
I think if your dog
And
lives with people and it's not a wild dog, there's no point in not
well,
doing it.
well, you know what? Most importantly, neutering prevents them from procreating.
Well, plus they can't function normally in the type of society we live in right now.
Well, yeah,
It would be
but I mean,
irresponsible not to do it.
I mean, it stops them from spawning and creating more pets, and there's so many unwanted animals that can't even be taken care of right now. It's totally irresponsible not to neuter. I mean, I'm sure it does, like cause harm to the dog psychologically in some way. Like, if I was in their position, I wouldn't want to be neutered, but the overall good it does outweighs the bad. Have a quick question, but I'm guessing you'd prefer to answer over DM, your choice. Ask me any question. Have you watched the Asim Mel Horta videos? Is that retarded low-carb doctor? I haven't seen it yet. I gave it a quick watch, and I was like, oh, damn, that's retarded. Like, I skipped through, but I haven't actually seen it. Okay, so, I guess there's enough people in here to start. So net neutrality was just repealed. Across the board politically, vast majority of people supported keeping net neutrality, but it was still repealed. I think 75% of Republicans and around 80 to 85% of Democrats and independents agreed that net neutrality should stay. So complete failing of the democratic system, that net neutrality got repealed. The people, including Ajit Pai, who tried to repeal net neutrality, they're literally just directly paid by the cable industry. So, total horseshit that it got repealed. Basically what that means is internet service providers can throttle your connection, charge you for different types of data. They have the power to completely destroy new and upcoming businesses because they can throttle whatever they want. If they have some sort of political agenda, they can throttle or outright block you from using certain websites. Ton of negatives, harms the consumer. It's an anti-competitive, it's an anti-competitive idea that actually harms business, and especially new and upcoming businesses. So it's absolutely fucking terrible this happened, and hopefully there's enough blowback from this for net neutrality to, come back. But we're going to go through this retarded-ass video where he just spouts total nonsense.
Hi, I'm Ajit Pai. I'm the chairman of the FCC. Recently, there's been quite a bit of conversation about my plan to restore internet freedom. Here are just a few of the things you'll still be able to do on the internet.
Okay, it's not about things you'll still be able to do. The problem is internet service providers can charge you for different types of traffic, which makes absolutely no sense, when you're paying for an internet connection, you're paying for the service of having a connection with a certain bandwidth, and you can have as much data as you want with that connection. Now they can say, I see you watch Netflix. That takes up 40% of our total traffic. I can charge you more because you watch Netflix, even though that totally makes no fucking sense. Data isn't a finite resource, so it makes no sense that you can charge extra for certain types of data. And you've already paid. So it's just a way for these companies to double dip and take more fucking money for absolutely no fucking reason. It's sort of like if you were to buy a solar panel, and then the solar panel company says, hey, you live in an area with lots of sunshine. That means we have to charge you extra each time you use your solar panel. It makes no fucking sense.
After these Obama-era regulations are repealed, you can...
No. These aren't Obama-era regulations. This was made back in 1996, and it was to protect smaller businesses and to protect consumers. So first of all, in 1996, excuse me, in 1996, they created net neutrality with the idea that you shouldn't be able to throttle traffic, treat data differently from other types of data, and it prevented larger companies from throttling smaller providers and basically completely destroying their business. And net neutrality also had the idea of making the internet a public utility. And the reason for that is the internet is so tremendously fucking important. It's a bigger deal than a public library. It should be a human right. It should be a human right to have access to the world's information, and especially in an information age where you absolutely have to have the internet to have a job. Like, name me one fucking job you can have today where you don't need to have the internet. You can't. Or if you can, it's a shitty fucking job in the middle of fucking nowhere where you're not going to make any fucking money. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, create a new business, you absolutely need to have the internet. If you don't, you're fucked. So in today's world, you cannot survive without the internet. So they made it into a public utility. It makes perfect fucking sense.
You can still gram your food.
Yeah, so this is totally missing the fucking point. Sure, you can still, post food on Instagram. That doesn't change the fact that ISPs can throttle your traffic for no reason. They can charge you for a service, they can charge you for the same service you're already paying for fucking twice for no reason. They can throttle traffic that they don't like. They can prevent you from watching certain websites that you don't like. Oh yeah, and they can actually fuck up smaller providers. A lot of these large providers, they share the same lines with smaller providers. So if they want to completely destroy competition, well, now they can. They can throttle traffic and completely destroy other smaller providers. So yeah, that's the problem. It's not that people are worried about, oh, I'm not going to be able to post my food on Instagram. No, they're worried about anti-consumer, anti-competitive business practices. You fucking asshole. Somebody should fucking shoot this motherfucker. I swear, if anyone deserves to die right now, I'd put him up there with fucking Kim Jong-un. I hope some crazy Alex Jones following motherfucker who thinks this guy is part of the alien lizard species that wants to take away his internet and all the jobs, just shoot him.
Quality. Alright, real selfie?
You're such a cunt.
You can still post photos of cute animals, like puppies.
Aww. Again, this has nothing to do with the anti-competitive, anti-consumer business practices this invites. So, yeah, that's the video.
You'll shop for all your Christmas presents.
Oh, I can shop for all my Christmas presents. Well, no. Now if I use Amazon, I'm going to be charged more because they'll claim that takes up more of our traffic, so therefore this data is more valuable than some other data I'm using, even though I'm already paying for a gigabit fucking connection with unlimited data allowances. So why would you charge me more for using certain data than others when it's not a finite resource? Like, you're a fucking asshole.
Online. Yes. Got that bulk deal on fidget spinners. Yes! Those Eclipse glasses are so cheap! You can still binge watch your favorite shows.
Yeah, that's the point I literally just made. So now if you watch Netflix, they'll claim, oh, this takes up more of our traffic, even though it costs us no money whatsoever and you're already paying for a gigabit fucking connection with unlimited data. So we're going to charge you for certain types of data even though that makes no fucking sense. It's stupid.
Favorite fan community.
Like, holy fuck, I'm already paying $120 a month to have fucking internet, and now, oh, $50 onto my fucking bill because I used YouTube. Fuck off! Like, this is stupid. Okay, so, I'll answer some of the comments. I know somebody asked a question. Baked Potato. I've been doing boxing / cardio workouts for 10 plus hours per week and have been following a low-fat, high-carb vegan diet. I haven't been able to lose my stomach fat. Wondering why that is. Thanks, man. Also been watching your videos for about 2 years. Okay, well... Look, this idea that just by eating a healthy diet and working out like crazy, that you'll have abs... It's not true. Like, look, your abdominal muscles aren't really a natural thing for people to have. Like, it takes a lot of, it does take a lot of dedication, especially for some people. I mean, the people who have visible abdominal muscles all the time without even thinking about it, they just naturally eat less than other people, and they probably also have, like, naturally, or not naturally, but they just do more activity throughout the day, like, because of their lifestyle. And a lot of these fitness guys on YouTube, they're just especially obsessed with how they look. So they very accurately track their calories, look at their diet, exercise meticulously. So, yeah, the idea that, you know, even if you work out a lot, like 10 plus hours a week doing kickboxing and everything, and you eat a low-fat, high-carb diet, all clean foods, that you'll just have abdominal muscles, it's not really going to be true for most people. If you're not losing fat, then you just are going to have to take a closer look at your diet, restrict calories, and maintain your activity level. Like, I can even show you. What's a good one? Let me think. I'm just trying to think of, not the Plains Indians. I can't remember. Well, you know what? This is probably a stupid idea, but okay, so what, Paleolithic period, so this is art from the Paleolithic period. This is when humans were still hunter-gatherers and didn't have agriculture. This was what was considered an ideal woman. Now, she's fat as fuck. So, look, all throughout history, people weren't ripped, if you know what I mean. Let's see. I'm trying to look for a word. Like, I mean, okay, those aren't real indigenous people. Yeah, I mean, look at these dudes. You know, like, they're for the most part lean, but, you know, these people live out in the bush, and, you know, they don't have ripped abs. Let's see. Indigenous people, well, that would be a good one, actually. Indigenous people, Ethiopia. Because a lot of these people eat diets that are based on grains. I mean, you know, none of these dudes are really ripped. I think I think that distended stomach is more from, like, starvation or something, but, you get the idea, like, they don't, okay, there's a lot of titties here. You know, you get the idea, like, people who live on, like, a natural sort of diet, like, all throughout human history, like, it's kind of rare, assuming people are eating enough and everything, that, you know, a human being would have visible abdominal muscles. So my point is, it just takes, you know, actual thought and dedication to lose some body fat and have visible abdominal muscles. So, I'd say take a look at the amount of calories you're eating right now. Reduce that by, you know, maybe 300-400 at first, and then you're gonna end up losing weight and see how that goes. You said low carb, or sorry, low fat, high carb, vegan diet. You know what, if you're boxing a lot, you're gonna want to have a high protein, high carbohydrate, low to moderate fat diet. If you're working out that much, I would recommend having a fat intake, if you're a man, of at least like 15%, even if you're dieting. It does affect your hormonal function to have, like, at least for most people, to have a fat intake that low. And especially if you're trying to lose weight, and you're doing that much activity, I'd say you'd want to have at least 15% of your calories coming from fat. But you do want to have a high protein diet and a high carbohydrate diet as well. If you're working out that much, you're just doing, like, boxing and cardio, so I don't think it would have to be that high. I'd say you should have at least 0.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight, and that's because you are also trying to lose weight, so your protein intake does kind of increase if you're trying to lose weight, because it just takes a bit more to maintain a positive nitrogen balance. But anyway, yeah, like, I mean, just up your protein intake, and lower your calories, and just pay closer attention to your diet, and that's how you get abdominal muscles. And it'll probably be really fucking difficult, and it's probably not going to be something you can sustain for a long period of time, which is why so many dudes take steroids, weight loss drugs, and by weight loss drugs I don't just mean diet pills. I mean, people do all kinds of weird shit to reduce their appetite. Like, I know some people, like, vape nicotine so they don't have an appetite. And that's, you know, how it's done online, so, you know, have realistic expectations for yourself. Will you do a video on Ripto and his barbell medicine crew one day? Lots of cholesterol denial and pro-meat retardation. Okay, that sounds fascinating. Ripto bar... Accidentally... Nutrition Basics with Joe Friedman podcast.
Touch the barbell in a calories.
Okay, well, I do know of Mark Ripto, so I'll take a look at that later. You're saying you're 16 years old, from Australia, also male. Yeah, I mean, I'd say don't lower your fat intake below 15%. I'd recommend keeping it at 20% or higher. And consuming about 0.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight, filling the rest of your calories up with carbohydrates, and just keep an accurate eye on your calories, and just go from there. But again, like, you know, there's this fucking idea that if you have ripped abs, you're gonna get more fucking girls. Like, I'm sure that's the reason you're doing it, even if that's not consciously the reason you're doing it. You might think, oh, I'm just doing it for myself because I want to. No, you're doing it to get pussy. Deep down, every man does everything to get pussy. So it's not going to help you get more girls. Like, I've been chubby, I've been ripped, I've had, like, you know, the toned physique with lots of muscle. It doesn't really change anything. I think women respond mostly to confidence, and especially as you get older, education, the job or career you have, and the amount of money you make. That's the biggest thing. You're 16 right now, so I'd say, like, you know, confidence and shit like that. But, you know, if you really want to get a lot of women, especially once you get into your 20s, focus on getting a really good career, and especially making your own business, because women really find that attractive when you can have your own successful business. Milk Jar's account got banned. Huh. That's... okay. I wonder if he said anything about that on Twitter. I know he has a Twitter account. Milk Jar Inc? Did he get... okay, I don't know what his account is on Twitter, but... you know, I'm not really surprised. I mean, he's eating cow brains and, like, right out of a cow and shit, and that probably violates YouTube's terms of service for, like, graphic content, potentially harmful, dangerous content, stuff like that. Okay, so let's take a look at a retarded-ass Ben Shapiro on net neutrality. Now, I think Ben Shapiro just likes to be edgy and have contrarian opinions, so I think that plays a part here. He's also quite an airhead. I mean, he actually believes that a god exists. You know, there's not a big discrepancy, like, between Republicans and liberals and Democrats in terms of supporting net neutrality, but there's slightly more Republicans who are against net neutrality, and the ones who are against are just fucking stupid. They have this idea that, oh, the free market will regulate itself. No. The way the internet is structured, physically, you can't do it. You can't have a completely free market on the internet. Not if you want to preserve freedom of speech and promote fair business practices and promote entrepreneurs. And if you want to see the new YouTube or the new Facebook or the new Amazon, like, you have to have net neutrality to have all these things. So Ben Shapiro literally knows absolutely nothing about any of this, so this is just a fucking train wreck.
Scott says, what is your stance on net neutrality given how the internet has become such an important part of how we learn? So I don't believe in net neutrality. I think I'd explained this a few days ago on the show, didn't I? I did a whole segment on net neutrality, I thought, where I discussed at length the idea that ISPs, basically net neutrality is the suggestion. It was only put into place in the last couple of years of the Obama.
No, it wasn't put in place in the last couple years by Obama. They made a slight change to it that would protect smaller internet service providers from being throttled and bullied by larger providers. But it was put into place in 1996. So you're a fucking idiot. You did absolutely no fucking research. Like a quick Google search could do this. Let's see. Net neutrality was created when... let's see. You can go to Wikipedia, I guess. Timeline of net neutrality. History of net neutrality in the U.S. Like, it actually, 1996 Telecommunications Act. Like, I mean, yeah, Ben, you're a fucking idiot. You literally... It sounds like he literally just listened to Ajit Pai and did not, like, think twice.
Administration. And before that, the internet was working just fine.
No, before that, the internet wasn't working just fine. Larger ISPs were bullying smaller internet service providers, having anti-competitive business practices. They were throttling network traffic. They were charging consumers when they shouldn't be charging consumers. Again, there's anti-competitive, anti-consumer business practices going on. And because of the importance of the internet, you know, a regulatory body stepped in, made sure that consumers were protected, and the most people possible had open access to the internet, and they also wanted to ensure, you know, businesses could grow. That's what net neutrality did. Without net neutrality, an internet service provider, okay, like, and this is a huge deal. A lot of these internet service providers are run by cable companies. Well, cable companies want you to buy cable. Well, if they had known that YouTube would have become such a huge deal, YouTube is destroying cable TV. So, if these internet service providers were allowed to throttle certain traffic, they could have throttled YouTube so that YouTube would completely fail and people would keep watching television and they could end up, like, still making more and more money. So, yeah, that's one of the reasons why net neutrality was put into place. But Ben is a fucking retard who doesn't know what he's talking about, and he just likes being fucking edgy.
Net neutrality is basically the suggestion that internet service providers have to supply traffic, supply all use of traffic the same price. So Netflix, which...
Yeah, Ben, because when you pay for a fucking service, you're supposed to get that fucking service. If my internet contract is, you pay $120 a month, and we will give you a gigabit connection where you get 1 gigabit downloads, and you get 200 megabit uploads, and you have infinite access to data and infinite uploads as well. You can use as much data in that bandwidth. What fucking sense does it make to charge me extra depending on what source of data I access? Are you fucking retarded?
Eats up an enormous...
Like, is this oil? Is data oil? Is Netflix or YouTube, like, the really good unleaded premium gasoline? Like, fuck off, you idiot.
Enormous amount of bandwidth has to be charged the same as some schmo in his basement who is just loading up his blog. And it's also, net neutrality also says that all pages have to be loaded at...
Okay, stupid. Amazon, Netflix, YouTube, they spend a tremendous fucking amount of money creating servers worldwide and working with internet service providers to ensure that people can access, you know, YouTube, Amazon, Facebook, all this shit worldwide 24/7, and they have easy access to it without it, you know, being slowed down. They spend literally billions of dollars ensuring that they can do that. And you think, like, Netflix and YouTube and shit, they should give internet service providers extra money for no fucking reason when they're already spending all this money to ensure their services, like, are accessible to everybody? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
At the same speed. Well, the problem with that, of course, is that it benefits big corporations like Netflix over the little guy.
What?
Same speed. Well, the who is just loading up his blog at the same price. So Netflix, which eats up an enormous amount of bandwidth, has to be charged the same as some schmo in his basement who is just loading up his blog. And
I don't even understand like what he meant there. Netflix has to be charged the same as some schmo loading up his blog. Like, what do you mean? You're paying for the service of having a connection with a certain amount of bandwidth and a certain amount of data allowances. Like, I mean, you can pay for packages where you only have 100 gigabytes, or you can pay for unlimited access. And having these data limits in this day and age is absolutely retarded. But, like, I don't understand what you mean. Like, how does... I don't get it. What? What was going through your head? I think Ben has this idea that everyone's still using a dial-up internet connection or something, and because Amazon, or no, because Netflix is taking up so much bandwidth,
It's also
that's like an actual problem for the internet service provider to handle it. Like, Ben, it's 2017, we have fiber and shit. Like, what are you talking about? We don't need to have... Like, we don't need to have these paying schemes that partition... Like, that partitions bandwidth. Like, that's just not an issue anymore. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
net neutrality also says that all pages have to be loaded at the same speed. Well, the problem with that, of course, is that it benefits big corporations like Netflix over the little guy. The reality is that if you're taking up a huge share of the bandwidth, then you might there might be companies that say, you know, we will provide you a faster access, but you have to pay more money.
What are you talking about? Again, Netflix, for example, they pay a tremendous amount of money to make sure that there's servers worldwide that gives everyone access to Netflix, and they work directly with internet service providers, so that there are servers that are loaded with the majority of Netflix's data, so that like certain people in certain locations can have quick access to Netflix. They're already like paying extra money to ensure people have fast access to Netflix. Like, what are you talking about? Like, he has this... It's like he hasn't used the internet since, like, 1990 when there was just dial-up.
It's not incumbent on internet service providers to be forced to be treated like public utilities. The way to think of...
Yes, it is. Again... Like, it's funny how he'll claim that, YouTube has a monopoly, so it should be treated differently than any other private company, and you're so against YouTube censoring political content. Well, but then you say the exact same, like the exact opposite of, like, the internet as a whole. Now you're saying, internet service providers should be able to throttle content, block certain political content they don't agree with. Why is there this huge cognitive dissonance here?
Of it is that internet service providers are like the pipes, and the content of the internet is like water.
This is an absolutely horrible fucking analogy. Okay, the pipe thing sort of makes sense, but you also have to keep in mind these are very fucking wide pipes. It's not like we're in the 90s where we're using dial-up. We have, fiber internet now. And data isn't water. It's not a finite resource. It is infinite. So how can you charge differently for certain types of data when it's all just fucking data? Like, these ones and zeros are somehow more valuable than these ones and zeros? It makes no fucking sense.
So you can think of it in two ways. It's a public utility. Everybody should be able to turn on the tap at the same time and get the water. Or that the pipe company should be able to charge you what they want, or charge the water company what it wants for the water moving through the pipes.
Data is not water, you fucking idiot. It's not a finite resource. A better analogy would be, consider the internet like a solar panel, and data like the sun's rays. The sun's rays are fucking infinite. How can you charge people for the sun? Like, that's stupid. How is that so fucking difficult to understand? I mean...
The reason it's not quite like a pipe is because you can have multiple pipes, right? There are multiple internet service providers. One of the reasons...
There aren't multiple internet service providers. After the 90s, a lot of these smaller companies got swallowed up by larger companies. So there's very little competition. And these internet service providers actually work with each other to ensure that they all screw over the fucking consumer. They all kind of stay out of each other's way. They all try to make it so only their service is available in certain areas. I think there was an actual statistic that 75% of Americans don't have a second option when it comes to an internet service provider. If that's the fucking case, then how can you say, well, if you don't like your ISP's, service and practices, just choose a different one when there's not? Again, another reason why we need net neutrality.
Reasons that net neutrality has become such an issue is because of special deals with local governments by a lot of the internet service providers, so the only providers in their region. If there were open competition, you'd actually see competition. Like for people, for example, who only use email but don't watch streaming video, right?
I don't know what point he was trying to make there. Like, yeah, internet service providers try to make deals with cities and municipalities and shit so that they're the only provider in that area. That would only mean net neutrality is even more important, because if these ISPs do anti-competitive, anti-consumer business practices, like that would prevent them from being able to do that. Like, if there's no competition, if you're going to argue, well, market competition removes the need for net neutrality, but then you admit that all these internet service providers have practices that are anti-competitive, they make deals with municipalities and shit, then that would only strengthen the argument for net neutrality. Like you're saying, yeah, internet service providers do this so that people don't have an option, and that somehow means we shouldn't have net neutrality? Like, are you fucking retarded?
Like older people who only want to watch TV but don't actually want to use Netflix or Hulu, they should be able to get the internet cheaper than people who want to be able to get Netflix and Hulu.
Okay, this is absolutely stupid. So there are actually internet packages you can buy right now, Ben. What, with the service we have, Bell? Let's actually go to their fucking website right now. Bell Internet. Ontario, English. Okay, so, whoops. Essential Plus, 3 megabit per second, 0.68 megabit per second up, 20 gigabyte limit, $30 a month. Now, if you go to the bottom, gigabit fiber, 1 gigabit per second up, 100 megabit per second upload, unlimited usage, $100 a month. So, what the fuck do you mean? Like, why did we need to appeal net neutrality for this when there's already different internet packages that you can buy that are cheaper and less expensive? And then if you really use the internet a lot and you need as much data and as much speed as possible, you can pay more. So why do we need to repeal net neutrality for this? You stupid crooked-nosed motherfucker! God. He should get punched in the face for this. This is just one of the dumbest fucking things he's ever said.
Right? Or if you only want to get Netflix and Hulu and you don't use email, right? You just use text messages. You should be able to have these options.
What sense? You need... What? He just said, what if you only use the email, but you don't use Netflix or Hulu? And then he said, okay, well, what if you only use Netflix and Hulu, but you don't use email? You need an email to use Netflix and Hulu, you stupid, retarded motherfucker. Like, if you have a job, you need email. Who the fuck doesn't have email and uses the internet, you fucking retard? That makes no sense. Again, what is wrong with this payment scheme? It makes no sense. Why? Like, I don't understand how this would work. You're saying people should have to pay for email access? Why? What sense does that make? Oh.
There's nothing wrong with any of this. This is why when people say it's a corporate giveaway to get rid of net neutrality, there are major corporations like Google and Netflix who basically want to prevent smaller companies from being able to take advantage of differential pricing on ISPs to compete with them.
No, that's not it. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, they want net neutrality because net neutrality benefits every fucking... net neutrality benefits every fucking business that makes money on the internet. Net neutrality doesn't benefit internet service providers who can just charge you more money for things you're already fucking using, and, like, these extra charges are completely unjustifiable, and they can also throttle traffic. This actually happened with a cell phone carrier. I remember certain cell phone carrier, I can't remember what it was, it might have been like Verizon or something. They had their own streaming service on their phone, and there was another, like, competitive streaming service, but if you used Verizon's streaming service, then you get unlimited data. If you use the competitor's service, then you don't get unlimited data, and they charge you for it. That's just an example of why net neutrality is sort of important. It's, if you're going to, you can't treat internet you can't treat data traffic differently depending on the source. It's it's anti-competitive. So you saying, oh, net neutrality prevents businesses from succeeding. What the fuck do you mean? It prevents internet service providers from giving preferential treatment to certain businesses rather than others. It makes no sense.
So it depends which corporations you're talking about. Google is a huge corporation, Facebook's a huge corporation, Twitter is a huge corporation. All of them are in favor of net neutrality because they're content providers. All the ISPs are in favor of getting rid of net neutrality.
Yeah, that's because they can use anti-competitive, anti-consumer business practices to make more money. What do you mean?
Bottom line is the internet was fine before anybody started messing with it. Net neutrality, the odd passion over net neutrality has always puzzled me.
That's because you're fucking stupid, Ben. Again, it's funny how he's against YouTube censoring right-wing content, but he's perfectly fine with internet service providers doing that exact same thing. So, total retardation from Ben Shapiro. Fuck. Still sick. I'll answer any questions you guys have for the next 10 minutes. There's still 10 minutes left in the stream. What effect is this going to have in Europe? I'm really not sure what effect this is going to have in Europe or Canada. I guess we'll fucking see, but hopefully, you know, this decision gets repealed and we get net neutrality back before we even have to worry about it. But again, like, the main argument I'm seeing from conservative retards like Ben Shapiro is that consumers should be able to, you know, pay as much as they want for the internet. If they don't want to access Netflix or Hulu, then they shouldn't have to pay as much as someone else. Well, if you're not going to use streaming services, then you can choose cheaper fucking internet options. I don't get it. Now that's odd. 525, 25 megabits per second, $75 a month. 550, 50 megabit per second, $60 a month. I don't know Oh, $30 a month off regular price for 1 year. Okay. And they did the same thing here. I use gigabit fiber, so I have a gigabit connection, fortunately. It's expensive, but it helps me immensely because I make my living on the internet. Thanks, bro. I've been doing home ab workouts. I'm going to stick with Richard's advice, reduce some calories. It's on my lower stomach fat. Yeah, most men have trouble, like, getting rid of lower abdominal fat and love handles. That's just where dudes store fat. Like, you can't spot reduce, so really you just have to reduce, you know, your total body fat percentage, and, you know, your lower abdominal fat and your love handles are going to be the last thing to go away. But also, like, keep in mind, man, women don't really care. Like, think about it this way. If you see a girl and she has a nice fucking big ass, maybe some nice titties too, and she has like a little bit of lower abdominal fat, maybe a little bit of stuff to grab onto here, are you really gonna give a shit? No. Like, and they think the same way. You don't have to be absolutely ripped to be attractive to women. Like, as long as you look like you're fit and in shape and work out, and you're confident and crap, that's all that really matters. And then once you get older, they're gonna care about, you know, your career and the amount of money you make, but, you know, you're 16. Why did Muslims try to attack Jasmine on the subway? Because that's what they fucking do. A lot of Muslims are just really aggressive towards women, and they saw, you know, a young woman with a dog, kind of vulnerable, so they just all tried to gang up on her and attack her. Luckily, she was able to get away before anything happened. As the doors were closing, she ran out really quickly, so they couldn't follow her. But yeah, that's what happened. And then after that, Lucy became really traumatized, and then she had like really bad anxiety issues, and we did training to make it better, but then something would happen and it would get worse, and eventually it got really bad where she started like hurting herself. So then we adopted her out, and now she's living on a hobby farm out in like the country. And it's actually a horse farm, and she has 2 other dogs to play with, and she's really happy now. She doesn't have any anxiety issues, so yeah, city life just wasn't for her, and now she's really happy. And I'm glad she wasn't torn up about, you know, not not being with us anymore. But you know, I'm glad. Like, it's kind of sad to see her go, but I'm like, you know, more interested in her well-being. What were the people on the train even doing to her? So they all, like, surrounded Jasmine and started giving her, like, really mean, ugly stares and making, like, aggressive gestures. And they were, like, all talking to each other as if they were planning on, like, doing something. And, yeah, that's what happened. And then before anything happened, she ran. Yeah, that's the Toronto subway. This actually it's becoming an increasingly bad problem on the Toronto subway. Ever since they started letting in, you know, a mass amount of Syrian refugees, Syrian, there have been an increased number of attacks on women on the train by Muslim men. There was one where a girl was going to the gym in the morning. It was like 9 in the morning, and it was a totally packed train. Some Muslim dude was like masturbating right behind her and jizzed all over her yoga pants. Like, it's fucking disgusting. I don't know why they're letting in immigrants from like that fucking country, especially refugees that have absolutely no documentation. It's fucking insane. But I'm glad Jasmine has her permanent residence now. So that's just one less thing to worry about. And, you know, that's another reason why I got the motorcycles, just so we wouldn't have to deal with public transit. And all the bullshit that comes along with it. Like, occasionally we still have to take the train once in a while, but for the most part, we can get around on our bikes. So if you guys have any last questions, just answer them now. I'm about to end the stream. And, so for today, I'm just going to... whoops, I forgot I was signed out of my account. So for today, I'm going to re-upload the Joe Rogan video. Make sure it can be monetized. I'm going to take out, you know, this crap. And then that can be monetized and everything. And there was also an ad at the beginning, and I kind of feel bad for the people who paid me for the advertisement, because then far fewer people will see this, so it's another reason to re-upload it. And I'm going to make some adjustments to my Worst of the Fitness Industry skit, because there's some information that I left out about atherosclerosis that kind of strengthens the argument that steroids increase risk of even young men of dying of heart disease. So I'm going to make some adjustments to that. I might film it today. I might, but I'm not sure. And I'm also going to work on part 2 of the Joe Rogan video. Let's see, Joe... What was that retard's fucking name? So, part 2 is going to be responding to that idiot meat-eating doctor, Sean Walker. So it's going to be a response to this. So that's all going to come out in, you know, the soon time, next few days. So yeah, that's it for the updates. Yeah, Dave Palumbo hasn't responded to me. He told me to call him at the end of his last video, RX. He told me to call him, and I don't know what he expects me to do. I tried to reach out to him on Twitter, but he didn't say anything. There's Instagram, Facebook, Google+, Twitter, rxmuscle.com, like, there's... I mean, I don't see any way to get in touch with him. So, like, I mean, I could send him a message on YouTube, but I don't know how many people check their YouTube messages. I don't think he's too enthused about having a debate with me, because he knows he's going to lose. I think he's just talking tough, and he assumed I wouldn't, like, agree to debate him, but... You know what, because you guys are my Patreons, I'm going to spoil it. The next Worst of the Fitness Industry is actually going to be on Dave Palumbo. The reason is, I think it's a really fucking important topic. Dallas McCarver's death, and that steroids can cause heart disease even in young men. So, because he's denying that, I'm going to make a Worst of the Fitness Industry on him, and I think I can... present the information in a much more impactful way, in a more clear and concise way on like a Worst of the Fitness Industry video than in a live debate. And chances are the Worst of the Fitness Industry video is going to get more views than the live debate, so it'll reach more people. So next Worst of the Fitness Industry is going to be on Dave Palumbo. Did you see that Milk Jar's channel got taken down? Yeah, somebody mentioned it at the beginning of the stream. I'm not surprised, because a lot of what he was doing did violate YouTube's terms of service, like with graphic and shocking content. And what else? There's also something about promoting like self-harm. What he was doing could be seen as self-harm. He was eating a lot of raw meat and rotten meat, So I'm not surprised. I don't know if his account is down permanently or not, but I guess we'll see. And alright guys, thanks a lot for watching. Again, I really appreciate all of you supporting me on Patreon. Helps me out tremendously. So those are the videos that you're going to see out in the soon time. Joe Rogan Part 2 and Dave Palumbo, Worst of the Fitness Industry. So stay tuned for that. And as always, keep making those vegan gains. Have a nice day, everybody.